Hello. I'm here today to talk about Ernest Hemingway's Hills Like White Elephants. Now, this short story is a classic. I remember reading it in high school. In all fairness, it was an honors English class, but I do remember reading it in high school. It's a pretty classic, it's it's an easy read. But today I'd like to go over the perspective that the operation is an abortion. This isn't my own perspective. I heard it when I was in high school. But now, as an adult looking back on it, I can really see exactly how this story is actually alluding to it. When I first read it in high school, I didn't really understand the magnitude, I guess, of the situation. But reading it now, just thinking about some of the man's lines. For example, when he said, "Let the air in," as if that's all you were doing. He keeps calling the operation simple, 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 but it's not. It's one of the most complex and convoluted and hard things to decide, this operation being an abortion. And he says that he wants no one else, really alluding to a child. And the characters' names are the girl and the man, which makes me think that there's an age difference directly relating to a power dynamic. And over again in the story, this man keeps repeating things that aren't quite true. And this girl keeps saying things, and he keeps cutting her down, which is very representational of sometimes the general dynamic between men and women in couples or not, but also specifically about the abortion issue. And it just shows how callously men can see this ending of a life. I'm not saying that I'm pro-life, pro-choice. I'm not making that stance. The stance I'm making is that this story is attempting to show the perspective of how careless men can be about life, especially when it comes to listening to a woman's perspective about life. For example, the simple over and over again, how he was droning and droning on about how this is not a complicated choice. He wasn't hearing her when she was saying, but it is. But it is. Again, with her saying complex things, it starts off with these hills look like white elephants, and he says they don't. It just starts off with this sort of this hint at how their perspectives will not work. She sees things imaginatively and full of meaning, and he sees things as they are, black and white, yes and no. And she goes off on this big rant saying, we could have everything. We could have everything if we just go through with this operation. And he says, yes. Do you not believe that? And she doesn't. She never says that she doesn't believe it. But when she says what she believes, it's not really heard. Or at least you feel like you can see the evidence of that in this story. About how he goes on and on about, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. But he keeps pushing. He says it's simple, but if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. That's not really asking for consent about a situation. That's not having a full, in-depth conversation about the impacts that an abortion would have on the girl, on the man, on the relationship, on the baby. He's just saying it's simple, but if you don't have to do it, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. And it's a heartbreaking story. And I like how the ending doesn't tell you what happens. In my hopeful perspective, I hope the girl, as she's asking for him to stop talking, as she is communicating but is not heard, my hopeful perspective is that this scene feels like before a breakup. It feels like one of the heavy issues that just cannot be resolved. But there is a very likely scenario, especially written in whatever time in the past when Ernest Hemingway was the one writing it. There's another perspective of how maybe she did go through with it. But also, fun fact, when I was in high school, my high school English teacher proposed the interpretation that the man is a husband and the girl is not his wife. as if she were an adulterer and a fairer, which explains why they like go on trips, they have drinks, they see so many things. I think she can tell she's like another one of the luxuries to take part in, just like the drinks. The drinks, there's a different, fun thing in each country, in each tourist trap, everywhere. And I think she's starting to feel that maybe she is another one of the things to be sipped and left. But that's my interpretation about how the operation, here's my notes again, about how the operation is a metaphor for abortion. And I know that this one's been kind of overanalyzed. Lots of people have had their takes on it, but I hope you enjoyed mine.